Do you ever wake up with a phrase stuck in your head, but you don't know where it came from? Like it's not quite your thought, not quite a memory, just there. Looping, persistent. This week I had one of those. 7 words, crisp, precise, almost like they'd been practiced. And yet I never remembered thinking them, not once. Hi everyone and welcome to Voices with Maja, the podcast dedicated to uncovering hidden stories and intriguing mysteries of Cathouse Club. I'm your host, Maja Wójcik. Before all this, I used to love wandering down to that little tea shop of 11th, the one with the brass window frames and the vines climbing the fire escape. The owners never cared if you stayed 3 hours or 10 minutes, as long as you paid in cash and respected the quiet. It was my ritual. Chamomile? Is that how you pronounce that word? Let me know in the comments below. Notebook, people watching through the fogged glass. I haven't been in months. It feels like I'm always inside the tower now. But sometimes I still pass it on my way home and I catch a glimpse of my old self, the one that lived in the noise without even knowing it. That version of me through distraction was connection, that always being online meant always being alive. And yet now, when I'm finally trying to slow down and focus, it's like something else is trying to speak through me. That's the irony, isn't it? You spend years trying to stay busy enough to ignore the static in your head, and when you finally listen, you're not sure if the voice you hear is even your own. It's like there is a copy of me I don't fully remember recording, polished and cleaned and snipped together just right. But maybe that's what a persona is. Maybe that's what the podcast voice is becoming. And still, I can't let it go. That line, that moment in the playback. I've thought about it every day since. Checked my old folders, nothing. Checked my logs, empty. So either someone is sliding edits into the mix, or I'm sliding out of the sync with myself. I've had weird weeks before, but this one feels like the moment before something changes. You know the feeling? Like static before a transmission. And isn't that what stories are, really? Transmissions? You send something out, hoping someone hears it, and that they understand not just the words, but the silence wrapped around them. I think sometimes we underestimate how loud that silence can be. There was a day last week where I sat in front of the mic for almost an hour and said nothing. Just listened to the studio hum, to Alice Color jingling somewhere in the background, to my own breath. And you know what? For the first time in days, I felt like I wasn't just broadcasting, I was receiving. Maybe that's where the real signal lives. Not in what we shout, but in what we are finally quiet enough to hear. Sometimes I think about walking the long way home, cutting through the back streets near the train yard, where the city still breathes in its own weird rhythm. There's a guy who sells bootleg poetry, designs out of an old magazine rack. They're terrible. Brilliant, raw. One of them had this line I can't forget. Truth travels quiet until someone amplifies the echo. I think about that a lot lately. Whether I'm just echoing back what others want me to say, or if I'm still finding my own signal beneath all this noise. Anyway, let's pivot. Let's focus. Less noise, more signal, right? If you're enjoying our journey so far, don't forget to wishlist Cathouse Club on Steam, join us on social media, and subscribe wherever you're listening. Every follow, every wishlist helps us continue uncovering these fascinating stories and mysteries. Plus, you'll be the first to know about new episodes, special guests, and maybe even some bonus surprises along the way. Stay curious and stay connected with Voices with Maja. Alright, mailbag time. I pulled 3 questions from the feed this week. And yes, I do read them all, even the weird ones about Ali's skincare routine. Let's dive in. How do you decide what truths to share on your podcast? Great opener. Truth isn't always what you think it is. It's not just about accuracy. It's also about resonance. For me, it's about whether a thought or story is coming from a real place inside me. I don't mean factually true, I mean emotionally, narratively, contextually. For example, I might edit out a technical slip in my wording, but I won't cut a hesitation. Hesitations are real. They real doubt or care or tension. That's truth. So I try to listen to what I sound like, not just what I say. Does this feel like something I'm saying to connect or just to perform? If it is to connect, I live it. If I'm posturing, I scrap it. That's the compass I trust most days. What's the line between being curious and being paranoid? That line is thinner than we would like to admit. Curiosity is the door you open hoping to learn. Paranoia is a door you guard because you're afraid of what's behind it. But the funny part? Both start with question. I think it comes down to where those questions live, in your gut or in your fear. When I first moved into the tower, I noticed how quiet the halls were at night. Too quiet. I convinced myself there were cameras hidden in the hallway plants. I told myself it was just tower maintenance. Then I checked. They were real plants, just bad at surviving. Was that curiosity or paranoia? Maybe both. But I learned something, didn't I? That even silence can be suspicious when you've spent your life surrounded by noise.
Listener alignment survey now active. Your insights help optimize future content. Please comply.
Do you ever feel like you've been watched? Oh boy, yes. Don't we all? And I don't mean in the big brother way. I mean in that low-grade, slow-burn kind of way, like you're always on stage, even when you're alone. I think part of it is the digital life. Smart devices, webcams, algorithms. But part of it is older. Human. I've always had that feeling, even before the podcast. Even in my Warsaw days, I'd finish the set and feel eyes on me as I packed up my mic. Not aggressive, just observant, like someone skipping tabs. I used to think that meant I was doing something right. If someone's watching, maybe you matter. But lately I've started wondering if the opposite might be true too. What if being watched is just a sign you're useful to someone else's story? That got a little intense, huh? Next week something lighter. Maybe Ali will do a lightning round, if she's awake. So, here's something new for the show. I'm sharing one of my old recordings. These aren't interviews or studio takes. These are from before all of this. Before the tower. Back when I recorded everything on a handheld because, I don't know, I was just obsessed with archiving moments, little truths, half-finished thoughts, footsteps down hallways I thought I would never walk again. I used to carry this clunky little recorder with me everywhere, shoved it in my coat pocket like a secret. I never told anyone I was doing it, not because I thought it was illegal or weird, but because it felt like protection. If something happened, something real, at least I would have a proof of something, even if I didn't know that. The tape I'm sharing tonight is from Warsaw. I was 24, exhausted, full of caffeine and bad decisions. I recorded it maybe an hour after one of the most surreal nights of my life. I didn't plan to talk about it, but something this week made me go digging for it. That first recording, I remember making it, but I don't remember why I kept it. Maybe because I didn't trust my own memory back then, or maybe because part of me knew something about that night would keep echoing long after it ended. I was 24, still thinking every bad day was just a fluke, not a pattern. Still telling myself I could outrun the strange parts of my life by narrating them. The worst or show was supposed to be simple. Someone else's story. Someone else's collapse. But I walked out of that building with a mic in my hand and a different kind of silence in my head. Not the comforting kind. The recording you're about to hear wasn't meant for anyone. It's raw. I'm trying to put the night back together like it was a broken plate. And I'm already wondering who I was performing for.
Okay, I think it's working. Testing. God, my hands are still shaking. The show fell apart, just collapsed. The designer, Victoria Mentes, bailed 10 minutes before the walk. Rumor was they got poached mid-show by Arcan or maybe even Concord's new sub-label. One of the sponsors, Banta, pulled out mid-promo. Their banner literally flickered and disappeared from the LED right. Not even a goodbye. People were screaming backstage. Lina from Lightning was in tears, and poor Danny, the intern, was trying to duct tape cables he didn't understand. The whole space smelled like hot vanilla and tension. Lights kept cutting, no one knew who was running point. Someone, I think it was Gita, the PR lead, shoved the mic into my hand and told me to buy time. So I did. I walked out, blinded by the floodlights, and said something. I don't even know what. A stitched mess of poetry and branding and desperation. The weird part, they clapped. Like actually clapped. Not a polite ripple, full applause. One guy even whistled, and I walked off stage thinking, was that good? Or just a relief for them? I sat on the curb after. Just sat. My legs were shaking. Someone passed me a champagne flute and called me a hero. I wanted to laugh or cry, but instead I remained apathetic. Then, back near the serving stairs, this woman stops me, tall, perfect, wearing a black pin. Subtle, but I remember it. Circular, metallic, and pristine. She looks me in the eye and says, "You weren't the problem, you just weren't being used properly yet." Like I was a malfunctioning product. Then she gave me an envelope. White, no logo, just weightless. I didn't open it, and I still haven't. I think I wanted to prove I could walk away. Like, if I never opened it, it didn't count. But I still think about it, like it's hanging somewhere in my drawer, waiting. Anyway, I recorded this because I needed to speak before someone else did it for me, before someone edited the memory. If I sound afraid, it's because I am, but maybe that's the price of holding the mic. She said I had potential, like it was a diagnosis or a threat.
I never really knew what to do with that tape. It felt too raw, too personal, but it's also where I hear the first time my voice fractured, between what I said and what I meant. That divide has followed me ever since. I didn't want to admit it then, but I think some part of me did feel used. And worse, I let it happen because I was afraid of what would happen if I didn't. Listening back now, I can almost hear myself trying to convince myself it didn't matter, that I hadn't been changed by that night. But the truth is, something did shift. The moment I stepped on stage and feel the silence, I realized that my words had weight, not just for others but for me. That weight settled in my chest quietly, and it's never fully gone away. Maybe that's why I kept recording, not for clarity, but to catch the moments I couldn't process in real time. To build a breadcrumb trail back to a self I was too scared to inhabit back then. And maybe still am.
It's been 3 days. I'm back in my apartment. I finally got some sleep. The envelope is still sitting unopened on the table. Every time I walk past it, I feel like it's humming. Not literally, just like it knows it's unfinished business. The clip went viral. I didn't even know someone had recorded it. They are calling it Branded Collapse Chick. I'm on 3 fashion blogs, 2 aesthetic playlists, and a recruitment shortlist for a House Orton casting event in Neo Milan, which is funny because I've never applied. Someone messaged me calling themselves a curator of narrative talent. I didn't reply. Their avatar looked like it was generated by an end engine. The handle was just a string of numbers. It's strange. I should be happy. Exposure like this would have taken me months of work before. But instead I feel blurry. Like I'm watching someone else's breakthrough and pretending it's mine. I keep telling myself it was improvisation, crisis control. But when I listen back, it sounds rehearsed, like I was quoting a script I hadn't read yet. Too clean, too ready. And now I'm wondering what to do. Keep modeling? Pretend this didn't happen? I'm still under contract with Vera Singh until winter, but that deal was just catalog work. No narrative spin, no speeches. But now people are DMing me asking when my next performance is? Was that what I did? Perform? Part of me wants to vanish, fade out before someone starts building a brand around the version of me that panicked eloquently once. But another part wonders, maybe I could use this, take the mic again, shape the story instead of surviving it. If I do keep going, I don't want to be a silent talent anymore. I want to speak, not just walk. I keep wondering, if you say something in public that changes people's minds, does it matter if you mean it? Or just that it worked? Maybe that's the difference between memory and meaning. One is what happened, the other is what everyone decides it meant.
I still don't know why I kept that second tape, or why I added it here. Maybe because hearing it again, now, it feels like a hinge. Like the first time I realized my voice could go places I hadn't meant to send it. And that something or someone might be listening when I did. Not long after Warsaw, I turned down 2 shots, big ones. One of them was with Creighton Studio. They wanted me in a campaign about some emergent crisis. Sounded like a nice way of saying, fall apart on cue. I took some time off. I told my agent I needed to reset, rethink. They weren't thrilled. I spent that season doing voice work, small studio gigs, a few underground mixes, even some collabs with student dog crews. Nothing glamorous, but it was mine. My voice, my edit, my terms. I thought maybe if I kept things small enough, no one could hijack the signal. Looking back, that was the real shift. Not some sudden reinvention, just a slow, quiet drift towards something different. I didn't know it yet, but that's when the podcast seed was planted. Not as a brand, not as a content strategy, but as a kind of echo chamber I could control. And maybe that's why I'm sharing this now, to track the echo back to its source, to remember the moment I stopped being just a voice in the noise and started listening for one of my own. Okay, that was heavier than I expected, but maybe that's what we are here for, digging into the things we'd rather leave buried, because sometimes when you unearth something old, you also uncover who you've become. Before I go, there's one thing I want to circle back to. I re-listened to last week's episode, not something I usually do, and well, there is a line at the end, a sentence in my voice. But I didn't set it. I've checked every version of the raw, nothing. If anyone out there knows anything about the VAV forensics, digital fingerprinting, playback logs, drop me a line. No pressure, just curious. Next week we will go deeper, and maybe with your help, we will start separating the noise from the signal. Maybe we will even learn to tell who's actually holding the mic, and who's just speaking through it. Thanks for tuning in, wherever you are and however you listen. If something in these episodes stuck with you, wishlist. If something in this episode stuck with you, wishlist Cathouse Club on Steam, or leave a rating whatever you found this. Also feel free to comment or answer a couple questions. Are you playing any games right now? What games interest you the most?
Not the keyboard again! Stop trying to log into the dev interface! Even I don't have the password!